Hello. This is going to be another episode of Motivational Monday Live with your host, Aura Elena Martinez. And this week's episode is all about why having a vision is so important. Now, before I start with this week's episode, I want to introduce myself. If this is the first time that you are watching this series, and also share with you what motivated me to even start this series this year. Once again, my name is Aurelina Martinez, and I'm a self-discovery and empowerment coach, helping women gain total clarity in their purpose so that they can wake up to daily fulfillment and certainty. Now, purpose is not to be limited to just a calling. And this is because you could be living your calling and still not be living your most purposeful life, right? Because in order for you to live your most purposeful life, it requires you to also enjoy greater levels of emotional well-being, mental well-being, spiritual well-being, physical well-being, and why not even financial well-being. Every part of you and your life matters. Every part of you and your life matters. And what motivated me to start this series is the fact that Mondays tend to be that day of the week that people are already feeling anxious and thinking, oh my God, I have to start another week, same thing over and over. I gotta go to work. And let me just say this. If that is how you are feeling, if that is how you are thinking, if this is what's going on within you, let that be the sign that something needs to change soon. Whether that is something within you or outside of you, but something needs to change because you are not meant to be dreading the start of a week, to be dreading the way your life is, to not look forward to the things, the way things are in your life. Like, you are not meant for that. You're not meant for that. And it is my sincere desire that with this series, you start looking forward to every Monday because you know you're going to be filled up with goodness, because you know you're going to be feeding your mind, your soul, yourself emotionally. You're going to just fill yourself up with goodness. And it is also my sincere desire that with this series, you get closer and closer to your truth. And why does this matter? Because the more you understand what your truth is, you're able to live your life authentically. You're able to experience a deep level of happiness that doesn't require something outside of you to have that. Doesn't require results to have that. Doesn't require absolutely nothing but you. And that is possible. Trust, that is possible. And it is also my intention with this series that you're always elevating your level of consciousness. And you're going to hear me say this over and over and over again in every single episode. This is because when you raise your level of consciousness, you start looking at life differently. You start sensing things differently. You start experiencing things differently. You're able to make different, better decisions. When you're on the first floor looking outside, everything starts looking big. Cars look big, buildings look big, right? Everybody, you all look like you're the same size or whatnot, or if you're short like me, people start looking taller than you. But when you get to the 10th floor and you start looking outside from the 10th floor, everything starts feeling differently. Everything starts looking differently because you're in a different floor. So the car starts looking smaller. People start looking like miniatures. The buildings don't look as big as they look when you're in the first floor. And I'm using that analogy to describe how every time you're raising your level of consciousness, you start seeing things differently. You start sensing things differently. You just are a different person. And this is why working on your level of consciousness is so important, because you're going to start seeing yourself in your life so differently. So once again, this episode is entitled, Why Having a Vision is So Important. Now, I've spoken about this topic before, but this time I'm going to go a little deep. Okay, and I'm going to explain what a vision is, what a vision is not, and why this is so important. And I first want to start off by removing any barrier that can get in the way of you receiving the value of this message. Because if you allow this message to sink in the way it is intended to sink in, this can make you look at yourself and your life very differently. I want to remove any resistance that you may have when it comes to the topic of a vision, any wrong perception that you may have of a vision, right? Any low level consciousness, anything that affects how you view and think of a vision, I want that to be cleared up once and for all. Okay? A vision does not have to be something grand in order for it to be a valid vision. I want you to know that. A vision can be anything that is meaningful to you, important to you, and valid to you. Okay? Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that a vision has to be something big, something grandiose in order for it to be valid or for it to be called or considered a vision. And it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Your vision not only affects you, it affects others as well. So important. Okay? That's how important you are. That's how important you are. How you live your life and the choices you make matter so much, not just for you, but for others as well. Sometimes we tend to disregard how important we are. You are important. You're more important than you can possibly imagine. And your vision will always have an effect on others. I want you to remember that too. Your vision will always have an effect on others. It will either motivate them or inspire them or trigger them. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, if your vision scares you because you're concerned of how others are going to think or feel about you, what I'm about to share, if you let it sink in, it's going to liberate you from all that. It's going to liberate you from all that, okay? And it is the following. However way someone is affected by your vision has little to do with you and everything to do with them. I want you to remember that. Okay? If you think about it, in order for someone to be inspired or motivated by your vision, they have to be open to receive it. They have to be open to receive. And that's not something that you have any control over. You don't have any control over that, right? That's why your main job is to be you, but to be you from a place of love. This is so important. This is so important because if you are just spewing negativity and giving off negativity of any kind and of any level, because negativity doesn't have to be something that is so obviously negative. There's some negativities that are so subtle, but the negativity is still there. And if you think that others cannot sense it, you are wrong. You are wrong because everything is energy and energy does not lie. Okay, energy does not lie. Okay. And in that case, I mean, you're always responsible for what you're doing. But in this case, if all you're giving is negativity, you are responsible for what you're receiving because that's what you're putting out there. You're putting out negativity. So what do you expect to receive? Right? Your main job is to be you from a place of love. And if your vision triggers a person, that means that person has a wound that needs to be healed. Okay? That wound was already there before you and your vision came into their life. That wound was already there. Okay? That person probably wasn't aware that that wound existed, but it was there. And who you are, what you do, and what you represent just made that wound come to the surface. Okay? But that has nothing to do with you and your vision. I want you to get that. That has nothing to do with you and your vision. And I'm going to share the following examples so you can understand what I even mean with this. So say, for example, if you're working on being the best version of you, you're doing you, you're working on your desires, going after the things that you want, you're working on being the best version of you. And for whatever reason, who you're being right now is triggering some kind of jealousy or envy in another person, right? That jealousy is probably there because what you represent is what they did not do. You're just highlighting to them either something they wanted to do, something that they wish they had the courage to do or the discipline to do, and seeing you do it just makes it so uncomfortable for them to really realize, oh my God, I didn't have the courage to do this. Why didn't I? Oh my God. But see, that has nothing to do with you. Do you get where I'm going with this? That has nothing to do with you. Your role is to continue being you. Okay? And if you who is watching this is the one on the receiving end of a wound, meaning that you are being triggered by something that someone else is doing, their actions or who they are, know that you just received a gift. You just received a gift. Do you realize that? The gift of awareness, an opportunity to heal, to strengthen, to grow, to expand, to explore. You have been given a gift. I've seen people who have allowed their triggers to bring the worst out of them, their insecurities, and it's very obvious on an energetic level and also the actions that they're taking, right? When you allow your triggers to bring out the worst of you, you close the door on opportunities. You close the door on goodness. When you are triggered, you are in the unique position for expansion. I want you to remember that. I'm going to repeat that again because that is one takeaway, a huge takeaway. There are many here, but that's a huge takeaway for this week's episode. When you are triggered, you're in the unique position for expansion. And I'm going to say something else too, because this is very important. If you are drawn to people who are vomiting their triggers, whether that is online or offline, you're also being shown something that you need to heal. There's some healing that you too need to do. There is a saying that goes, by your companion you shall be known. This applies not just to the people that you see in real life, meaning in reality, in person. This also applies online, who you follow, who you're friends with. By your companion, you shall be known. This is why those likes on social media, they matter more than you could possibly imagine. It's not just for the algorithm. It's not even for the person that is posting online, but it's for you too as well. Because with every like, it reveals your values, what you stand for, where you're at in your journey, what matters most to you, and what resonates with you. That's what every like that you give is saying. It's revealing that one by one by one by one by one. This is why it's very important for you to be mindful what you hit like to. Just saying. And that's not even mention what you comment. But those likes, that we think they mean nothing, they mean a lot because they reveal so much about you. Now, it sounds perhaps like I went off on a tangent. No, everything is connected. Everything is connected in life. Everything is connected. Now, I want to talk about what a vision is not, because this is very important. A vision is not a goal. A vision is not a goal. A goal can eventually turn into a vision, but a vision is not a goal. Okay? If you think about the word goal, it is an objective, an ambition, right? If you look at the definition of a vision, it is very different from a goal. It is very, very different. And I'm going to talk about that later on. Okay, but it's very, very different. A vision is not a dream. It is not just a thought. It is not something that just stays in your head, right? A vision is not a want, because who doesn't want things? You can want all that you want. You don't get what you want. You get what you work for. I've said it before and I'll say it again, right? A vision is not a desire. A vision is so much more profound than that, okay? It's much more profound. It is in the essence of your being. And I looked up the word vision and the following came up, and I want to read this to you. The state of being able to see, the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom, a mental image of what the future will or could be like, an experience of seeing someone or something in a dream, a vivid mental image. As you can hear, there's a recurring theme here, right? A mental image, being able to see, plan the future, imagination, right? So a vision is something that you can see, feel, touch, smell, taste, even though you can't in the physical 3D reality, right? The reason why a vision is so important is because, number one, a vision will ground you. A vision will ground you. It will have you standing tall, even during the worst wind, right? Even during times of discouragement, even during times of rejection, even during times where you don't see what you want possible, even when others don't understand. And trust, the outer world can be a big liar. The outer world can be a big liar. And if you're not grounded in who you are and you don't have a solid vision, you can fall into the trap. Thank you for the like. You could fall into the trap of believing the lies of the outer world. And that lie could be anything. The way your life is currently. If you have a job that you do not like and you feel stuck in it, if you don't like the physical appearance of your body, whatever it may be, if you know that that is not the way your life is meant to be, you got to ignore your outer reality. Ignoring your outer reality is not being naive. Actually, it is being wise. It is being wise. But paying more attention to your outer reality, that's being delusional. I know we're not taught that, but that's the truth. Okay? For instance, I remember back when I weighed 144 pounds. I'm using that as an example. I've used it before. That's what others saw. That's what it seemed like who I was at the time, right? Because that was my physical outer reality, but I knew that was not me. And I rejected that version of me. Now, rejecting that version of me did not mean that I was not loving myself, did not mean that I wasn't accepting of myself. What I was not accepting was a version of me that was below who I knew that I was. Did you hear that very carefully? Because there are times that when you don't like the life that you have, that's when you have to reject that. And people are going to think perhaps that you're being delusional. And people perhaps are going to misinterpret that rejection part. Well, probably you're not being accepting of who you are. No, on the contrary, I'm being accepting of my higher self. I'm being accepting of the version of me that I know that I am. Do you hear what I just said? That was powerful, what I just said. That was powerful, what I just said. Let that sink in. I was paying more attention to my inner reality. When you don't like the way your outer reality is, and your inner reality is telling you otherwise, that's the truth, not the outer reality, okay? When you have a vision, you prioritize your outer reality more than your inner reality. What keeps people sometimes stuck in the same reality that they do not like is precisely this, the fact that they give more weight to the outer reality than the inner reality. And so the outer reality is what's dictating their decisions. I'm going to come up with an example to illustrate this. If your own value, let me put it this way, if your own value is determined by a result or the lack of it, then your choices are going to reflect that. They're going to reflect that. Because you're giving more weight to the outer reality instead of you first going within, right? And determining your own worth and seeing your own value and letting that dictate whatever choices you make. And this applies to anything in your life. This applies to absolutely anything in your life. Doesn't matter what it is. The second reason why a vision is so important is because a vision gives you direction. A vision gives you direction. Your vision guides your path. There is a purpose to everything that you're doing. There is an intention, right? So your day doesn't just go by. You're not just mindlessly doing things. As a matter of fact, when you have a vision, you cannot afford to mindlessly do things. You cannot afford it. Because when you have a vision, you realize how valuable your time and energy are. You realize how valuable these two things are. And this takes me to the next point of why a vision is so important. And that is number 3, a vision will mature and form you. A vision will mature and form you. One of the many reasons why some people do not make their dreams come true is because they're not the person that dream requires them to be. We make the mistake of thinking that only the doing matters. And before you can do, you first have to be. I want you to remember that. Before you can do, you first have to be. And this applies to anything that you are wanting to manifest in your life, whether that is love, weight loss, friendship, business, an opportunity, anything. This matters. This matters. I want you to remember this. You attract not what you want, but who you are. This is why who you are being is so important. Who you are being is more important than you could possibly imagine. And when I say that your vision matures you, maturity, what it means is growth. Maturity is growth. A vision will reveal to you the parts of you that you need to shed. Oh, it will. If you are wanting, and this is just an example, if you are wanting to be a public speaker, but you're shy, that's not going to work. Obviously, that's not going to work, right? You got to develop yourself into the speaker that you want to be. right? Which means that it will be necessary for you to uncover where your shyness is coming from. Because I want you to know this other thing too. A vision is not going to contradict the essence of who you are. Notice that the key here is the essence of who you are. Not who you're being right now, but the essence of who you are. It is not going to contradict it. It may seem like it does, but it doesn't. What do I mean with this? I'm a big believer that if you want to know who you really are, go back to who you were when you were a child. Okay? Who were you when you were a child? Because that is the real essence of who you really are. Okay? What did you like as a child? Were you super curious? What were you drawn to? What lit you up? Were you introverted or were you very outgoing? The reason why all of this matters is because we start losing all of this as we start getting older and as we start adulting, because we start being programmed by what others say, by culture, by the environment that we're in, by the community that we're in, by circumstances that happen in our life. And so we start losing the essence of who we really are. And this is when you have a vision and it clashes with who you are being, right? Because who you are cannot manifest what it is that you envision. It just can't, right? And I'm going to share the following so you could get everything that I just said. So it could be more real to you in the form of an example. So when I got my calling to be a coach, there was so many things that I wanted. And for me, those things seemed big. Like I knew I wanted to write a book. I knew I wanted to offer journals, which I do right now. I knew I wanted to be a speaker. I knew I was meant to be a TEDx speaker. And it did come true 9 years later, last year, right? I knew all these things were available for me, but who I was then did not have the capacity to manifest all the things that I have manifested. That version of me did not. That version of me had low self-esteem. That version of me was shy. That version of me was insecure. That version of me was so concerned with, oh, what's so gonna think? I had to clean all that up, right? And when I went back to who I was as a child, this is why I'm even suggesting and inviting you to go back to who you really were as a child. As a child, there was nothing shy about me as a child, right? I remember my mom shared the story how whenever I was in the party, I was the one dancing. I was the one dancing on the dance floor, right? And when my parents would have what is called cherchas here, which they would play music and have like some snacks to eat and invite relatives or people that they knew, and I was very, very young. There was one time I was dancing, I fell, hit my lip was so swollen, I was crying, and then a few minutes later, I just got up dancing with my lip all swollen, right? And I was always so curious. So the reason why I share this with you is because that version of me that kept dancing, even with a swollen lip, she did not care whether she was making a fool out of herself. She did not care that she was tripping in front of everyone. And that's the person that has the capacity to have a business and speak and do this and do that and fail and still succeed and still fail again. Do you get where I'm going with that? Who you are a lot of times is based on all the fat that we have accumulated over time because we learned some limiting stuff from other people, because we have allowed experiences to shape us. And so then along the way, we lose the essence of who we are. I want you to know this. Personal development is not about you becoming something that you're not. That's one of the mistakes that people make. They have the wrong perception of personal development. They think that it's when you have low self-esteem or things are not good in your life or whatever. No, personal development is about undoing, unlearning, untangling, and realigning with who you really are. That's what personal development is about. It is not about you becoming something that you're not. This essence, this version of me that you see, I was always like this as a child. But I had learned that and I had to relearn it. Do you get the power in that? This is why I said before that the vision that you get is not going to contradict the essence of who you are. And that's why a vision is it's one of the most beautiful things that you can have for yourself. A vision is very important. It's very, very important. I'm a believer that if you have a vision, it's because you are equipped to making it into a reality. And the vision is not going to contradict the essence of who you really are. It's never. If anything, it's going to bring out the essence of who you really are. But it's going to require you to unlearn a lot of crap that you had learned along the way. And I hope you get the value of this. No. I trust. Forget about I hope. I trust that you get the value of this because that's how valuable having a vision is. And like I mentioned before, the reason why we think that we're not equipped to make that vision a reality is because we have accumulated all this fat that doesn't allow us to see how equipped we are to do the things that we want to do. And if you are wanting help with this, know that I'm available for this kind of work. This is part of the work that I do with my clients. And all you have to do is schedule a clarity call with me. Schedule that clarity call with me, okay? So a vision will reveal to you the parts of you that need to shed, right? The parts of you that need healing. The parts of you that have been asleep that need to wake up. A vision will take you down the path of personal development. Oh boy, will it take you down the path of personal development. That's one of the beauties of having a vision. It is going to expand you and grow you in ways that you did not think possible. It is going to grow you and expand you. The fourth reason why a vision is so important is because a vision will fuel you. Okay? Sense of vision is something that you can see, feel, touch, smell, taste. It's going to feel real to you. When something feels distant, the moment it gets difficult, the moment you don't feel like it, that's when you can easily give up because it feels distant, right? A vision, because it feels real, you keep going no matter what. Because that's the only truth for you. That vision is the only truth for you. This is something that feels real for you. That's what you're willing to fight for. That's what you're willing to work hard for. It's gonna fuel your mind, your soul, your spirit. That thought of the vision is gonna fuel all of it. And you start to enjoy the journey. Because that's actually where the gold is. It's in the journey. There are times that we make the mistake of thinking that the gold is in the destination when I reach that I desire. No, the gold is in the journey. That's where the gold is. Having a vision is one of the most humbling things that you can have. One of the most humbling experiences. It's going to humble you. It's going to humble you because you're going to realize that your life is not just about you. And thinking otherwise is a mistake because you miss out on the gift that you are meant to be. Your vision is not about you. It is not about you. And a vision makes you into a better person. because it grows you, because it expands you, because it takes you back to who you really are. It makes you to a better version of you. So if you are ready to get clear on your vision, to understand what are the things that block you, you're ready to develop yourself into the version of you that that vision requires. You are ready to gain the self-confidence, the self-trust, the deep understanding, a better relationship with yourself. You're ready for all that. Then I'm going to highly recommend that you schedule your clarity call with me. I am always putting that link to schedule that call. You can always reach out to me. And in that call, we're going to go over where you are now, where you would like to be, what is required to close that gap, and how I'm able to help you. Because you don't have to be lost. You don't have to be confused. You don't have to be without that spark in your life. You don't have to be going in circles. I'm telling you, the clearer you are as to what your vision is, the more you're going to have a deeper meaning in your life. You're going to get a deeper understanding of yourself. You're going to connect with yourself in a much more deeper way. You're going to be able to see in a much more profound way the value of you, right? Because you're going to mature, you're going to expand, it's going to form you, it's going to develop you, it's going to shed the layers of you that don't need to be there, that were never meant to be there. It's a beautiful journey to be in. So if you're ready for all that, schedule your clarity call and share this episode with those that you know. You never know who needs to watch this episode, because this is the episode that they're going to be like, you know what? No, let me figure out what is my vision, because I'm going to be a better person for me and for those that are around me, for my family, for my friends. Right? You never know if this is the episode that's going to spark something within them, right? You just never know. So share this with other people, share it. And it is my desire that you allow this to really sink in, that you allow it to sink in, that you allow yourself to see how valuable and important having a vision is. And with this said, it is my desire that you live life to the max the way you are destined to live. And until next time, bye for now.